Hi everyone, my name is Sam and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be discussing this book, which is the Elder Bruce R McConkie Story, Reflections of a Son by Bruce R McConkie's son, Joseph Fielding McConkie. I just want to briefly talk about this book, what you could expect if you read it. And I want to share 3 stories about Elder McConkie that I had not heard before and that I learned by reading this book. So first off, this is a typical biography. The first couple of chapters are going to discuss his ancestors and his parents. It talks about his boyhood, growing up on a farm, and also about his early professional life. And one thing I didn't know is that Elder McConkie was in his early 30s when he was called to be a general authority. And he had never served in a stake presidency or a bishopric. I don't think he'd ever served on the High Council, and just immediately at a young age he was called to become a general authority of the church. He married Amelia Smith, who was the son of Joseph Fielding Smith, who eventually became a prophet, and Joseph Fielding Smith was the son of Joseph F. Smith, who was the son of Hiram Smith. So just a very well-known family in the church. The book then just talks about his ministry, mostly as a general authority. He served as a mission president during his time as a general authority, and then I believe the last 12 years of his life he served as an apostle. So I wanted to share 3 quick things that I learned. These stories I think help tell who Elder McConkie was, and it's the 3 I'm going to take away from this book. And so the first one was while he was serving as a mission president. As I mentioned, he was serving as a general authority when he got a letter from the First Presidency, or maybe it was the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, asking him to serve and calling him to serve as a mission president in Australia. Kind of unique situation. You don't hear that where someone is a general authority and then is called to be a mission president. But he went and he served as a mission president. And he said that a mission president is the greatest calling in the church. He loved it. You could tell he loved the elders and the sisters who he served with. And he loved the work. And Elder McConkie's life was focused on doing God's work. And so I just want to share a quick story from his time as a mission president. So at the time in Australia, I guess there were a lot of individuals who were going to church, who had a link to the church. Maybe their wife was a member, or their brother or their children were members. And in many ways they believed in the church and they served in callings, but they never stepped into the waters of baptism. They just couldn't be pushed into actually officially joining the church. So this was a problem that Elder McConkie had to deal with. And so he went to a district conference, and before the meeting started, he asked the presiding brethren of this area, who here should be a member of the church but hasn't been baptized yet. And he got a list of names of these people. And when he got up to speak, he said that at the end of this meeting there will be a baptismal service. And many of you who aren't baptized are going to be baptized today. And so he gave his talk, and I believe there was other speakers after him. And so he started going down into the pews and talking to some of the people. And he found one of the brothers who he'd been notified of. And it's a funny story. Basically, he almost drags this brother over to where the baptismal clothes are. And the whole way, the brother is saying, "I'm not getting baptized today. You can't make me do it. You can't force me to do this." At one point, his wife talks to Elder McConkie and says, "I know he's ready for baptism. He needs to get baptized." And the brother just says, "I don't care what my wife says. I am not getting baptized today." But Elder McConkie was persistent and said, "What size pants will you be wearing?" And the brother said, "I am not getting baptized today." And Elder McConkie kind of does a judgment of the pants, finds one that he thinks will fit him, throws it to him. And then he says, "What size shirt do you need to wear?" And the brother says, "Size 16. And Elder McConkie said with that one reply, he agreed to be baptized. And he eventually joins the church that day and has a great legacy in the church, serves in the church, raises his family in the church, and never got mad at Elder McConkie for being so persistent. And in that meeting that day, 9 people were baptized who went to the meeting not knowing that they would be baptized that day. Okay, so the second story I want to share is Elder McConkie's work on the new edition, the New Latter-day Saint edition of the Scriptures. I believe they came out in 1980, but for those of you who are unaware, there was a committee of 3 apostles who were tasked with this great work to do a new edition of the Scriptures. One that would have new chapter headings and thousands of more footnotes, and they were to bring the Book of Mormon and the Doctrine and Covenants and the Bible together through indexing and through footnotes. And so the 3 apostles who served on this committee were Elder Thomas S. Monson, Elder Boyd K. Packer, and Elder Bruce R McConkie. And it was a great work, and I knew that Elder McConkie had played a pivotal role in the whole process. But a story in this book that I didn't know is that Elder Packer spoke at Elder McConkie's funeral. And when he was speaking, he talked about the work that Elder McConkie did. And what he said was that Elder Packer felt, and he knew, that if another apostle had been given this assignment to replace Elder Packer, the work still would have been completed. He wasn't that pivotal to the work. He said the same thing about Elder Monson. Elder Monson did a great job, but if the Lord needed someone else to do it, those shoes could have been filled. But, he said, they wouldn't have been able to do it without Elder Bruce R McConkie. And that the Lord had raised him up to fulfill this work, this mission, and it couldn't have been done without him. And I think that's phenomenal. I think it speaks to our own personal ministries that we have special talents, special skills that only we can use in a certain way to do the Lord's work. So it reminds me of Elder Neil A. Maxwell, and he had a personal ministry himself to those who were struggling with leukemia, because he himself was struggling with leukemia. And so he spent a lot of time as an apostle among those who were sick. And so I loved that story. The scriptures we have, the chapter headings we read, the footnotes we have, those mostly are a result of Elder Bruce R McConkie. Okay, the final thing I want to share is about Elder McConkie's final testimony. This is one of the landmark General Conference addresses. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. In 1985 at General Conference, Elder McConkie spoke about the Savior and his life and his ministry, and about the Garden of Gethsemane and the atonement, the crucifixion, and then the resurrection. And it's a beautiful testimony. By the end of it, you can tell Elder McConkie speaking with emotion as he testifies of Jesus Christ and the reality of his atonement. And I've known about this talk for a long time as a missionary. It was one of those talks that you just pass around with other missionaries, like, hey, go check this one out. Go read Elder McConkie's final testimony. And it was powerful even when I was younger. But I didn't know the complete story behind it. What I didn't know, and what this book talks about, is that Elder McConkie was really sick. Oh, and I should say this. So he gave this talk in General Conference, this great testimony, and he passed away 2 weeks after it. So it really kind of sealed his testimony as his final testimony. But what I didn't know is that he really was sick, and he'd been sick for months, maybe even a year or two. And he was frail and fragile, and struggled, and he couldn't do the things that he used to do. And there was kind of a big worry, like, would he even be able to give a talk at General Conference? And there's just one episode in the book where he'd been writing up in his room, and he came down to talk to his wife, and he had a stack of papers, and he said, can I read you what I'm going to say at General Conference? And he just started breaking down, and he couldn't get through it because he believed so much in what he was saying about the divinity of Jesus Christ and the power of the atonement. And he was strengthened that day, and he was strengthened to finish that final testimony. And it really is, I'm grateful in my own life just to be able to hear the testimony of an apostle of the Lord. And so those are 3 stories from the Bruce R McConkie Story. It was a great book. He was a great man who did great things in the Lord's kingdom. And so I hope you found this interesting. Go check out the book if you have the opportunity to. It was a great read. But thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.